At the age of 11, I and my brother a year earlier uh, started working for Ralph Bell, who was a dairy farmer just down the road here from where we're now speaking. And Ralph Bell's uh, his oldest son, Ralph Bell, who we all know, and who died a year and a half ago. But he was busy working at the GE plant out in Pittsfield, and their children, or the other boy child of theirs was George. He'd joined the Marines, and so we were fortunate in the South, Pete and myself, to be hired on as helping with the haying during the summer season. The work we did was they didn't have any motorized equipment, and so he had a team of horses, and actually there were 3 horses that he kept. Uh, Initially there was Prince and Tony, and they were a white horse and a good match team. And Prince died, and another horse came in that had joined Tony. Big Ben, as I recall it was, and it made it quite a mismatch. But I did was cut hay with a scythe. The mowing with the mowing machine was done with the pair of horses rather than the single horse. The single horse was used to pull the rake. So we boys were allowed to use to drive the horse with the rake, but not the team of horses. Um, so the fields would be mowed with a mowing machine and a pair of horses, and we would pick around the side with the scythe, and around the rocks in the middle if there were. And then later, when hay was dried enough, we would use the rake and rake things up. And I can remember one instance where riding the rake, it was in the field up near just below where Steve Cummings now lives, across the street from our family homestead. And I was going up a row, and I stirred up a hornet's nest. And Tony was the horse, and when he got stung a few times, he just stopped and started to stamp his feet right on this whole place, which only stirred up the beehive more, so that I had to jump out of my hay rake, and grab his halter from the front and haul him ahead to get the whole affair into clear air. Stands out in my memory. Then, of course, when we got the hay in, it would be taken from a fork that came down through the pulleys up on the top of the barn, and the fork would be pushed into the hay. We had to take one of the team of horses and bring it around to the hook him up to the pulleys that were attached to the fork, and we'd carry and then our youngster's job was hold the reins and get haul that up into the barn. You made good friends with horses then, when you stood waiting for the call to haul another lift off, and you didn't, and we never enjoyed the mowing away in the hayloft, because it was always hot, even on an unhot day. But it was always a contest to see who could pull the most fast, though. We did a little bit of tilling in a vegetable garden, that kind of thing. At one time, at the end of the season, we uh, used our scythes to scythe down the Blossom Hill where now the pyramid sits, and because it was getting grown up with some bushes that the cows didn't eat, and so it was gaining strength. And we spent, as I recall, a whole week trying to mow that bugger down. So all my from that point, which would have been in 41 to up through 47, I was spending the summer working at the Bell Farm during fair weather, unless we had a bunch of hay to mow up in the top of the barn. And that was always a very pleasant uh, kind of growing up, and I think a very informative one, in that Ralph Bell was like a second parent in a way, and one we much respected. He had a discipline and just his one you could mimic and be proud of being able to do so. He and his wife Isla would have their main meal at noontime, so we had uh, the farmer's dinner, and they had a hired man named Harry that helped him on a regular basis. So we were strictly daytime laborers there. But I think I had some of my best instructions in life from Ralph Bell, perhaps behind my mother and my grandfather, who I mentioned earlier. There was, and I'm not sure exactly of the year,